Okay, welcome back, everybody. Tonight we'll be talking with some people that everyone really needs to listen to. It's a continuation of what we've been talking about the last couple of streams since we've been back. And tonight we'll start off with prayer announcements, and we'll check the comments real fast, and then we'll start with what we know about our trackers so far, and just a few more announcements, and then we'll start with our guest. So I guess we can start with the comments or the prayer first.
We're going to go ahead and say the opening prayer. Thank you, Lord, just for covering this broadcast, these people, these viewers, and us with your protective. Just thank you for your protection. Thank you for giving us this platform. Thank you for giving us discernment and the correct words and the correct people to talk to. Thank you for the people that you send our way that we have knowledge that they can use to help them. We bind the eyes and ears of the enemy. We rebuke any distractions or tampering with any of the electronics or anything like that, Lord. We just thank you for taking care of it all. In the name of Jesus.
And we have 3 Facebook group pages that we link the stream to, because sometimes you can't find it on YouTube, so you can find it there also. That is the Oklahoma Bigfoot Predator Watch, in parentheses, Antlers and surrounding areas. Also, we have the Choctaw Missing and Murdered Woman, WOMBMAN, and Sun Centered Database. Also, LeadTrackerE's group page, she started about a month or 2 ago. If you'll give us that information.
It's just LeadTrackerE on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
And we'll link the videos from here onto that one also.
And she has also other videos and things that a lot of people need to see and know. So if you can't find it here, go there. And if you can't find it there, come back to the Oklahoma Facebook pages also. We've got StreamYard almost worked out to our sponsor who sent enough to have that covered. We got to wait 3 days or maybe, if we've been trying to get in contact with them all day to get that set up. But they got a special going on right now, and that's like the only thing that you could take, and we don't want that one. So we're going to have to try again tomorrow. We were trying today. They don't have a phone call kind of thing. It's just email, and the links don't work that we've been using. So we'll go through that again, and we want to appreciate you for that, as we always do every time you help us out.
And the guests that we're speaking with tonight don't want to be on video anyway. They would do only an anonymous audio interviews.
Mhm.
So it won't matter for tonight's format.
So it's all kind of worked out, and that's the way it always has gone. So, and also,
Joe Blow, would you send us your email? We would like to send you a video if you're on there tonight, or Joe Blow's wife. Send us your email. We'll get that out to you.
and we'll say that again at the end because sometimes Joe is on the road right now or just getting off work, and he may not have heard that, but we know that he tries to catch some. If we're long enough, then he can catch some. So, but Joe, we got a DVD for you, and we need to get that to you also. And that's our next thing is that the Bigfoot documentary, the CashApp, $71. The Bigfoot documentary, Oklahoma Bigfoot Predator Watch, Antlers and surrounding areas, just as the Facebook group page. And also you can find a link over there also. We'll do those in just a minute.
Okay. And thank you guys for being here.
Yeah, and for coming back. Also, again, we need to get a hold of Joe Blow and get him that DVD. Also, we also need to make the announcement, and we also need your assistance on this. But when we're having, and whoever's been with us for a while, you know that this is a channel for our trackers. You know, we train, we teach, you know, we give the information, show video thermals and things like that. They connect with us, they send us the information, we show that information with you from them, and this is what we're using to communicate. This is not an open forum. It's not a talk about whatever you want to talk about. If you do have questions over what we're covering, we will answer those in the comments at the end. But it has to pertain to the topic of what we're talking about, because this is a training channel, I guess you would say, because we teach everything that we need our tracker to know out there. So we would like to ask a couple of friends out there to help monitor. And Charles, we appreciate the job you've been doing out there monitoring, and someone did send us a message letting us know that you did try to stop the talking last night, but whoever they were, they just kept going. So next time, let us know. And we don't want to be checking the comments while we're discussing or teaching what we're talking about for the night. And it's just a distraction from everyone learning. Like we were talking about, it's for training, it's for trackers, it's for finding lost, missing people, it's looking for the signs, symbols, it's to protect us while we're out there doing these jobs. A lot of people on this channel, a lot of guests, are actual trackers or hunters, people who look for missing people or has had their encounters. This is not an entertainment channel. So
the thing is, we've been told too many times that some of the information on here, that much of the information on here has saved lives. It may be a tidbit that gets passed right over because someone's distracted by things going on in the comments rather than the information that they needed, because we've seen information that we put out be utilized the very next day and save lives. So that's why we're really strict about that. We just simply don't want people getting hurt. So thank y'all for being here, and thank y'all for sticking with the format.
And we do appreciate everybody who's helping us with this, to keep this energy, to keep this information flowing. As long as y'all can monitor that for us, we can just keep talking. And even with the guests, like last night, we apologize for last night because we had to almost stop right in the middle to just kind of stop a conversation that had nothing to do with what we were talking about, or that they weren't listening to the guests and all the information that they gave last night. And that was a lot of information of what they're doing, what things that happened to them before to now, and how they have adjusted and changed everything. We just wanted to express that and to show appreciation to the people who were informing us and trying to keep that discussion down to the way we've been doing it. We'll answer the comments at the end as long as they pertain to the lesson and the training that we were sharing. So also Damon, Azura Wolf, if you're out there, hadn't heard from you in a while. We know you check the channel every now and then. Give us an email, Facebook message us or something. We need to get you back on what you're doing, and we can always use that assistance.
Charles, if you would like to do an interview about your encounter and about things in your area, let us know, and we would love to have you for an interview as well. Mary Stoughton, we would also like to interview you. If you're out there, don't know if you're on there or if you're listening later, we really would like to talk to you about what's going on there and see how we can help.
And if you were able to watch that documentary DVD that we sent you, we know it's Blu-ray and a lot of people have problems, and it's an MP4, so it'll play on an MP3, but that's the only problem that we've had. And, we sent people extra videos, and it was just a DVD player, but we just asked that they share that other DVD with someone else who needs it, so at least they still get more information out. Let's see. Okay, so it's about time. What time is it? 5:26. We talked with George. Everything's good over in the eastern side. Not too many occurrences that's been reported, but George is just getting, or they're just getting their feet wet over there. So we just need more observation, and we'll talk with you often, George. And we'll just call just to check up on you.
Do you want to catch up on comments while we wait till?
Okay, and Tracker L's. We're kind of pressing a little time here, so we're gonna. We know you're okay, but we'll give you a message later, or you can message us on that other app. And Tracker A, we'll be calling you right afterwards if you're still available. And Tracker M, we'll need to also get back with you and get your updates. Also Tracker S, we're looking for that around Monday or Tuesday to get with the other trackers and do our catch-up. So we're going to go ahead and give our guests a call. Actually, Tracker E is going to catch up on the emails, the comments real fast before we start. And yeah,
I'm trying to do it without sticking my finger in y'all's face.
Stuff like this.
From my angle, I have to do it different. Okay.
Yeah. Kind of a weird angle.
Scott, hello.
Hello, Scott. How are you doing? I'm glad you're here. Glad you're back.
Yeah.
And thank you for checking up on us. Also.
For sure. Yeah. Claudia, says howdy. Howdy, Claudia.
Howdy, Claudia.
Charles says howdy, Toe.
All right, Charles. Glad you're here. Pyromedic, glad you're here. Scott. All right. Everybody knows everybody. I like
Angel,
that. Angel.
Scott. Yes, thank y'all so much. Carla
Hey,
Hipkins.
Carla.
David Brower.
David Brower. Oh yeah, you're from Ohio. We thought you was around the southern areas. We was gonna come visit.
Yeah.
And then we was like, oh, he's in Ohio, so
Yeah.
we actually got to go see some other friends.
Yeah.
But
We were in a different
but
direction.
we were coming to visit.
Let's see. Mr. L, hey.
Mr. L, good to hear from you.
David Brower says, for some reason, YouTube took your channel off my subscription list. Yes,
A lot of people tell us that.
they've even taken me off this subscription. Mr. Mills, fog rolling at my house, won't be sitting on the porch tonight. Good.
Yeah, good, Mr. Mills. Get inside. They hunt that fog, and that's one of their MOs. So glad you're listening.
David says, I got another brown Sasquatch 10 minutes from my home. That's way too close, isn't
Way
it?
too close.
Flat Rock, glad you're here. And Scott says, Jerry, I sent you an email. Good.
All right. And also, David, maybe you can connect with 10IC Living. They're on YouTube, and they can also help you with deterrence, as they're helping some other people right now also.
They were our guests last night.
Yeah, they were our guests last night. If you missed that show, please watch it, David. And when we get the chance to get this up and we can put pictures and video up again, which won't be long, and maybe we get it up tomorrow. But they did have a lot of pictures, video that they still need to share, and we'll get that up for y'all. But David, it's also information that you may want to look at, because we had the opportunity to spend a couple of weeks with them, and you can learn a lot from them also. So we're caught up on that. We're going to give our guests a call. And we should be right on time tonight. So everybody hold questions until the end.
Hello.
Hey, how are we doing tonight?
Good. How you doing?
Good. Can you hear us pretty good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
How you doing?
Good. Yeah, just driving.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm on the way home. Actually, coming into Las Cruces.
Las Cruces. You're always moving.
Always.
Oh man. Yeah, just trying to get the holiday traveling out of the way.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Hey, so
How you guys been?
oh, we've been good. Got some propane on, so we're good now.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we first come out of the field, we had we caught the holidays, so nothing was open, so we had to go out and get the wood and get the fire going.
Oh man. That's good times though sometimes.
It is.
Yeah, we were blessed to have a fireplace to
Yeah,
be
do
able to
it.
do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Get wholesome warmth.
Yeah, we kind of blocked off the house and everything, and we just thought that it's a blessing also to have a place to have a fire like that, even because you don't have the propane, but we just
Yeah, man. Yeah. I miss the old wood burning stoves.
oh yeah, you can cook on them, everything.
Yep.
So we just kind of want to talk with you, which your information is going to help a lot of our other trackers. And if we could we kind of start with how you were treated after, and then we'll come back to that, but how you were treated afterwards.
Okay, yeah. It's when Yeah, I'm in the main office, or when the first time they came by and asked for the rifle.
First time, right that next day,
Next day.
Yeah, because I know things were happening too.
Yeah, it was like speaking with a completely different person than the night before. It was I don't know. In at the time, it seemed really confusing because it seemed like we're friends, we're acquaintances on a friendly level. Then the next day, it was like I don't know, the feeling of like I did something wrong to him, and that's the best way I can describe it. But it wasn't as personable as it had been every time before that,
Mm-hmm.
Times before, it was jovial, but this was like, God, it changed, and I'm sure it's because, I'm sure it's because of this freaking whatever pressure he was on, and I kind of got the feeling that, as it had progressed, that his career might have been on the line because of it. But anyways, when they asked for the gun, I don't know. Even at that time, I knew it's like anytime you hand a gun over, don't ever expect to get it back.
Yep.
So, I handed him my girlfriend's rifle. Well, ex-girlfriend's rifle. She had already moved out, but the gun was still there. And so that's why I didn't hesitate doing that. But then I believe it was the very next day or a couple days after that. I think it was a couple days after that he came by again and said that, we need to go down to Salt Lake, down to the main office. And I wasn't surprised. You hear a lot of people when you think, state game warden, they're game wardens. I think from what I've been made aware of is a state line isn't as hard of a boundary on a game warden as it is, say, like on a highway patrol or something like that. They can do investigations and arrests and stuff, across state lines without the red tape, like, So anyways, be that as it may. But so then when we got down to the office in Salt Lake, or no, it wasn't Ogden. It was in the greater Salt Lake area. Ogden or I think. Anyways, so somewhere around down in there. Then it kind of got even a little bit more. I don't know how to put it. Not really intense, but more less personal between him and myself. To where it was just, the gentleman that we were speaking with, and I use that term very freaking loosely. I don't really recall what his status was, but then it almost became like I felt like it was 2 against 1 on me, and man, it was, the feeling I got, and this was just, I can't pinpoint and say that they exactly came out and said it because they didn't, but it was that if I didn't agree to the contract, that I wasn't going to be leaving there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It does.
That was, even like I said, even though they didn't come right out and say it, it was, I don't know how you put it. To me, it seemed implied, but also at the time I was in my 20s, and that was how I interpreted it. Basically, it was, and I say basically, that's not really the right term, but the gist of the conversation was who from the gentleman in the office was, who the hell did I think I was to not follow the direction when they said to leave it alone, and they were on their way. And at first I was like, I didn't want to throw the game warden under the bus, but then I said, you know what, fuck it. He was the one that brought me down here. So I said, he was the one that went ahead and said, shoot. And then when they went into, not really why. Anyways, so like it kind of cleared up why he had the game warden only had like a shotgun in the truck and a handgun on his side. That was all he had. He didn't have a long gun. The other sheriff's deputy that showed up, he did have a long gun, but he was, for one, where he sat with his car, he didn't have the shot that we had. And I explained that too. And I said, to be honest with you, I said, I think he had a meltdown. He couldn't do it. And there's, in my opinion, and this, for what it's worth, I think one of the most dangerous things in the world is a guy that's having a meltdown and he's got a live round in the chamber. Who knows where that bullet's going to go?
Right.
So maybe that came into play, but it was basically, it was like I was a criminal until I agreed to that and signed that. There was like two documents, and then that I initialed on the front, and then the back. The last one was a signature and date. And I remember one of the initials on I believe it was the second page, was the one I remember had a date on it. That it was a, God, I don't know if it was a felony or a misdemeanor, because like I said, at the time I didn't know that much about, I'd never really been in trouble with the law other than speeding tickets. But I know it was, before a certain date that I could be charged with this class of whatever, probably a misdemeanor or whatever, for speaking about it. But I remember it did have a specific date on there that did not discuss before this date. And that date, I remember it being sometime in the early 2000s. And I remember at that point in my life, this being in the 90s, and being a reckless kid, I was thinking to myself, I'm probably not going to live that long anyways. That was kind of, I was pretty reckless. But it was, it definitely, there was no pleasantries in the whole, greeting coming in or anything. And I've always been like a kind of even with people that I don't know, coming to, crossing in and out of doorways and stuff, people, hey, how you doing? I've always been that way. And it's always kind of off-putting when somebody makes it a point to be unpleasant back. I'm fine with indifference. That doesn't bother me. But the effort to make it an unpleasantry in return is really off-putting, and it seemed that's exactly what I got from him.
Did you have any people following you afterwards, or keeping an eye on you? I remember you said something about having a scanner at that time, and you heard like he's in the house, or
Yeah, we had a police scanner, and we had the police scanner even from before all that. That we would listen to the police scanner, and they would they did it before even all of this went down too. Was they would the local cops would drive by, and they would call out to myself or a friend of mine if their truck was there, or if the boat was in the driveway, or because in the summertime we'd go down to the lake a bit. If the boat was there, we'd listen to them going, oh yeah, they're driving by checking on us. There was a somewhat prominent family in that town that initially, when we moved there, I think they thought that we were part of that family, which was, I'm like, why would they think that? So, and I remember in one of the bars one night, one of the girls, this girl that I met, she was like, hey, are you guys, I said, what? No, it's not us, I don't know. And I mean, I don't know, it's probably because we had out-of-state plates on our trucks and our, 4 quarter panels with no dents in them. was the, you know, it was a pretty, I don't know, it laid back down for lack of a better term.
Mm-hmm.
But then afterwards, I got, God, I want to say 2, maybe not quite 2 months afterwards, at least a month and a half afterwards, getting pulled over, and they said my license was suspended for an unpaid seatbelt ticket, and I'd never gotten a seatbelt ticket.
You never
It was
did
the
get
same.
one?
No, and it was that same deputy that was there that night, because there was a specific feature about him that I could pick him out of a crowd of 100 people.
What was you known for? I mean, why did you receive this call? I mean, were you the town perfect shot hunter, tracker, or?
Because my friend had tracking dogs for lions and for mountain lions, and they had, whenever they had problem lions or bears come into town in the wintertime, so Game and Fish, it was, if you go to the site where there would be one, and unless you got dogs, the dogs will chase the thing up on a tree or a house and get the thing to stay. But if you don't have that, I mean, you'll just be like running through the neighborhoods in a vehicle trying to chase the thing down and lose them, anyway, so they would call my friend up and say, hey, over here and down the road, there's a mountain lion down at the horse corrals eating chickens. Can you bring the dogs down? And so he would bring the dogs down, and they would, the dogs would make short work of an in-town lion or bear, because usually if a lion or bear comes in town, usually it's because it's getting too old to hunt anyways. So the thing would tree quick. When we call tree, and usually it'd run up on top of a shed or a house. But anyway, so just happened to be that week he wasn't there. He was up north working, and he told them, he said, go get Lee. He said, the dogs know him. So that's why I get the knock at the door. Said, hey, so-and-so told us that you can get the dogs. We got something down here, which that far away always, I hadn't gone that far down there. I'd only passed through that town once before in my life. It wasn't in the same town that all this normally happened. But, which I also thought weird too, because it was in a different state. But I think the deal was their game warden was a lot farther away than what we were. So, and I think, and this is speculation on my part. I don't know. I could be completely freaking wrong on why they did this, but I think the municipality there, I think protocol for wild animal was they call the game warden.
Mm-hmm.
So their game warden wasn't available as quickly as this game warden was. So what they were told was 2 bears, so off we went. So it wasn't like the Game and Fish, so I sought out some expert to come do this. That wasn't it at all. It was just, that was protocol for a call for a bear or a mountain lion call, was get the guys that's got the dogs and come get them. We'll get the dogs out, and usually within a block, that mountain lion or bear would be on top of a house somewhere and shoot them.
So I was just wanting to make sure that how this all came about for people listening, especially for our trackers too, that that they'll come and ask you to help them out or do a certain job, and just to for me and for us actually to be very wary of things like this. And some of our other trackers have been put in situations as you were, and so we've been trying to just share this information with a lot of other trackers, and now we have the opportunity with you, so that and they're listening too. They're all listening right now. We asked them to listen.
What's that? I'm sorry. The last sentence I missed it a little bit.
That all of our trackers are listening. We wanted them to listen in tonight.
Okay.
And so we kind of want now if you could just take us on from that call and because you're just about to lead into that.
Yeah. Okay. So it was, I'm pretty sure it was sometime in February, and it was at that time of year, it's the freaking wind never stops blowing. So, and it was at night. I believe it was probably around 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night that the Game and Fish came by, knocked on the door, and I knew who he was. He said, "Hey, so and so said I'm gonna leave their names out of it," but he said so and so said to come. He said he's up north. We need the dogs. We got 2 bears down in this other town, and I was like, right off the bat, I thought, 2 bears, February. Bears usually don't hang out together, unless it's breeding season or it's, which it was too. I thought it was too early for that. But secondly, I thought, if it was a sow and cubs, that's not very common in town,
Mm-hmm.
So it just seemed really odd that it was 2 bears. So, but I didn't question it. We go down to the kennel and grabbed 2 of the dogs, and they had loaded the kennel in the back of the truck, and then called the dogs into it and put them both in one kennel, a big wider kennel in the back of the truck. And previously, before, what I had used, and I've done this, I did it on a bear once too, but not with them. But usually, what I would use for a mountain lion, I had a 22 meg little lever action Winchester 22 meg. And one of the times before, when I shot the mountain lion with 22 meg, I think the Game and Fish was expecting something else when the gun went off, and I just shot the cat right under the chin, and it goes up into the brain pan. Game over. They're not real tough to kill. And I remember the game warden goes, "Did you just shoot that thing with a 22?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Wow." He said, I wouldn't have expected that, and no big deal. So before we loaded up the dogs, I remember the guy saying, "Don't bring the effing 22." And I said, "No, I won't." Especially since they said it was bears. Like, no, I've dealt with that a long time ago. I won't do it again. So I brought my 300, and so on the way down there was some. And usually, if you put me in the passenger seat of the truck, I fall asleep until we get to me. So it's kind of like almost dozing off on the way down there driving, and he was on the radio with some other, and I thought it was the agency, the local cops in the town down there. It was about at least a 30, 45-minute drive. And through some of it, and I'm really bad about, when somebody's talking on a radio, a 2-way radio, I catch only about 50% of what is being said. Usually I'm going, "What, you heard that? What the hell did they say?" So I wasn't catching the whole thing, but it got kind of heated a little bit as we pulled into there. So we pulled into this town, and it's a very small town. So where we went in, so he was getting, at that point I did catch that he got direction to where to park or where to come in at, because it was like an alleyway where there was houses on one side, and then their privacy fence, and then on the other side I thought it was a mall or something, but looking on Google Earth I think it was a school. Anyhow, that privacy fence in that alleyway made a dip in, like as you go down a straight fence, and it dipped in for there to be a dumpster. Where it made like a horseshoe in and then continued on straight again. And so the cops were at one end of the alleyway, and we were at the opposite end of the alleyway. And we had where we were at, there was like a street light. And then on the other end of the alley where the cops were, they were about maybe 100 yards down, and they had a spotlight shining in at the dumpsters. Well, then I could see that was where I thought there was a bear. To me, at first, it looked like there was a bear coming out of the dumpster. And afterwards, I found out it wasn't, and that freaked me out even more. It wasn't a bear. It was the big one that had its hand on the dumpster, squatted down. And its hand, I thought, was a bear trying to climb out of the dumpster. The hand was that big. But so then, where we parked, I was about 50 to 60 yards from where, and I had a clear shot when they would stick up, but the dumpster was still a little bit between me and these creatures. And then the sheriff deputy from where we came from had pulled in behind us, and he was about 30 feet, maybe 40 feet behind us, pulled his car in, but where he pulled in, his view, the dumpsters covered the creatures way more. He didn't have the clear shot that I did. He didn't have the clear view that I had. Well, then the game warden, there was some more choice words with the game warden and whoever he was on the phone or on the radio with, and then the local cops. The local cops were saying, and I'm paraphrasing, that if you got the shot, take it. It wasn't dispatch. It was, I don't know. It was something along the effects of take the shot if you can. You need to take the shot if you can. So game warden turns his spotlight on so I could see better. And as soon as he did, that thing just went berserk. And that's when I saw that there was two of them. And so he immediately shut the light off. And I was sitting there looking, going, and by this time I knew this wasn't a bear. This was something. This just doesn't make sense. Then there was the two of them. There was one that was like squatted. It seemed like it was squatted down or almost sitting Indian style, but it started reaching out from around the dumpster, and they were so black I couldn't tell where one was and the other. Between one to the other. Mm-hmm. So, I'm looking through my scope, going, I still can't see shit. And at one point, then, and I don't know if it was from the ambient light from the street light that was right by us, but when it finally lit the eyes finally lit up on the lower one, I saw it, and I saw it was reaching it. And before this, it did it a couple times. I couldn't. It was reaching its arm out, but it was different. I didn't know that was its arm. But when it reached its arm out the first time, the big one behind it, it sounded like it punched it in the back a few times, like really hard. You could feel the thump, like if somebody gets hit in the back, there's that hollow thud, mm-hmm. And you could hear that. Anyway, so then when the one behind it, it was the privacy fence that went around that dumpster was like 6 feet tall. I know that for sure. And so then the lower one, and Jeff he had told me like at least 3 times, you need to take a shot. You can take a shot. And he had also called out to the deputy, and I could kind of tell that the deputy, he didn't have a clear shot, but when he called out to him, the deputy tried saying something, but he was so worked up, it sounded like he couldn't even get words together. Almost like he was hyperventilating. So then, anyways, when I saw the eyes light up on the lower one, that's when I knew, I put it like right beside the right eye is where I shot. Well, that was done. And then when I did that, the big one behind it, that's when I saw how big that thing was. And that I wished I could have, at that time, I wished I had the shot. So then it stood up a little bit more, but I still couldn't tell where. To me, it looked like its head was almost looked like it was coming out of the center of its chest. So I couldn't. So it was kind of like, where the hell's the chest? Where the hell's the head? But I didn't know if I was looking at this thing right until finally. Then when it started looking at the cops at the other end of the alley and then looking at us, back at them, back at us, back at them, back at us, and then I saw the head stick up just a little bit more, and I think they turned another light on the other end of the alley because when it stood up a little bit more, then I saw way more light on it and could see actually the skin through the hair, so I could see shininess on the skin of it. And I'm like, okay, that's where it is. So I took a shot and I shot it right in the chest, about like the way it was angled kind of towards me, but not fully. I shot it at just about right where the sternum is, which in hindsight, I got lucky. But So the first shot, when it hit in the chest, it came out its armpit and hit its arm on the far side and flipped its arm up in the air. And that's when I could see its whole hand. That hand was big enough, I think, it had palmed me. And at the time, I was probably about 215, 220, about 6 feet, 220. I mean, it was a huge hand. It looked out of proportion for its body. But then it stood up even more and stretched its head up where its head was more like right on top of its shoulders, and it let out a big, I want to say a cough or just a big breath, but when it did, it sprayed. I could see the mist of blood in its breath, and that's when I took the second shot right in the side of the temple, and then it collapsed. And when it collapsed, it took out part of the vents too between it and the dumpster. That was it then. But during that time that was before I shot the first one, Jeff, or the officer, I think he was holding on to the truck, and I was trying to use the truck as a rest, and I had to yell at him to let go of the truck because it was shaking the truck. Oh.
Yeah, you were telling us how the all the officers, in one way or the other, was strongly affected by just the visual of it, or them.
Yeah, the one sheriff deputy, I remember Jeff going over to him, and he went over to him and then came back and flipped the seat up in his truck and pulled out a blanket and took it back over to him. So that's why I think he'd either pissed or shit himself.
And how were the dogs? How were the dogs with you?
What's that?
How were the dogs?
Oh, they were silent. They didn't, even when we dropped them off back at home, they didn't peep. And man, those dogs usually did not shut up for anything. But I remember the whole time we were there, they didn't nothing. They didn't make a peep. And I do remember, which isn't uncommon. You know, sometimes they'll piss. You know, in the kennel. I remember smelling that they pissed. You know, I can't say it was just because of that, because you know they did that sometimes. You know.
Were the dogs able? Were the dogs able to see these predators, or was it just like they just had that feeling, or you know, like in the back of a truck or something?
You know what? They could have, from where we were at. You know, the height of the kennel was just a little bit above the truck. They could have seen them. Yeah, they could have. You know, I mean, they would have had to. Yeah, they could have seen them. But I don't remember them. I remember them both just kind of laying down and not doing anything. And you know what? In hindsight, it could have been the dog shaking the truck too when I yelled at Game and Fish.
It could have been too.
Everyone's shaking.
Yeah. So then, but I do remember when he took the blanket back over to the sheriff's deputy, I remember there was when I looked back and I wanted to get the hell out of there, and there was a helicopter that landed over behind us. I never even heard the thing come in, and I can't say it was some silent helicopter because it could have been made all the noise in the world, and I was just so focused I didn't hear it, you know. But we left, and I think Game and Fish had asked the sheriff deputy if he wanted to ride back with us, and he declined. So I told Game and Fish, I said, man, I want to go. And I just had a sweatshirt. I wasn't, by this time I was, you know, use that as an excuse. I said, I want to go, I'm cold. He said, all right, we're getting out of here. And when we left, we turned to go out of there. He had spoke to somebody, I think the local police on the radio, told them that we were heading out. And by this time, I think those cops had gone over to where the bodies of those things were. And we were pulling out, and I didn't see anybody get out of the helicopter, so I don't know who the fuck it was in the helicopters. Maybe that might have been some of the guys that were over by the dumpster by the bodies. It could have been. I don't know. But after we left and we got down the road a little ways, they told us we needed to turn around and come back. And I told him, I said, F you. I said, I'll jump out right now. I'm not going back. So he responded and said that we had a medical emergency, and we kept going.
Good. And but like a lot of people, and a lot of viewers here, they don't understand that you had to have some experience as to when to shoot, how to shoot, and what to look for, and that normal people don't know these certain things. Can you explain things that you were looking at, looking for?
Yes, I got the only thing. So I had friends that had dogs when I was younger, and we hunted bears. And I shot a bear at 16, you know, on a bow hunt for a guy that it just inadvertently, that's what happened. And I had luckily brought along a sidearm with me. It was a little Harrington Richardson 22 that held 9 shots. I brought it along with me because there was pine grass in the area and I wanted to shoot pine grass. Anyways, long story short, a client had stuck an arrow into a bear, and I remember he had 3 arrows in his quiver. Only one arrow got into the bear's forearm. One hit the tree, and the other one was an air ball. And the bear started coming down the tree. My friend Paul, who thought I had a 357 on my side, said, "Get under the tree." He said, "Shoot the bear." So I got underneath it, and I don't know if you've ever seen when a bear's pissed off, they can come down the tree head first like a freaking squirrel.
Yeah.
And it gets your heart bumping. Anyways, I shot a couple of times, and he saw it hit one in the head. He said, screaming, "Not in the head, not in the head." Their heads, the front of their skulls are thick. Anyways, I ended up finished. Luckily, I got one shot in the end of the nose that got into the brain pan on the thing. But so, say if that bear was standing up, there's if something is saying that bear, that's like the closest thing that if it's facing straight on you, that's kind of, unless you hit the central nervous system, you better shoot at least twice, because straight on, you know, if you get the bear's heart, usually if a bear's charging, I think their heart will only beat in the neighborhood of 6 pumps a minute. So which means that thing can go a long ways before it that runs out of blood and starves the brain out. So, and if a straight on shot, generally you're only going to get one lung. So a straight on shot is just, you got to really, there's a lot of room for error, and that's what I was going through my head on this. And the other thing is too, headshots just don't always work, because not all of the head is brain. You know, and I've hit a bear before too, a little bit low on a headshot where it broke the jaw loose, and man, it took a long time to track that bear down and finish him up. So it's just, headshot's not always a good way either. So luckily, if the angle this was, I thought, you know what, I can get part of one lung and then most of the other lung at the angle that I was. And I did get, I know I got at least one lung, obviously, but had I not got a headshot on it too, I think it was going to be a while before. I think that thing would have still had a lot more breaths in it, because when it blew that out, it was like say if you could see from the light shining from the other way that there was red mist in the blood, that it was from a lung shot, but it didn't seem to, aside from that cough, it didn't seem to have hardly any other effect on it. So it was going to be a while for that one shot to be fatal. So that's why I took the next shot, was like right in the side of the head. And that's, it's sometimes different. Now, I didn't, like I said, I didn't know, who knows the anatomy of these things. I mean, we know a lot more about them now than I did then. I didn't know how thick that skull was going to be.
Did you know that they existed at all?
Well, I've always believed that they did, but I didn't. First looking at the only thing I had to reference for a Sasquatch is the Patterson film.
Mm-hmm.
And this really didn't look like the Patterson film.
Mm-hmm.
The head was just so much more grotesquely shaped. The lower one, I don't know. All I really could get a good visual on was the eye shine from the fucking the eye shine, which gave me reference on where the head was. I really couldn't even tell you the shape of the head of the lower one because the blackness of them it almost seemed like it absorbed light. It was so freaking black. But the top one, when it really stuck its head up and I saw the shape of that head, it was, for one, that jaw. The jaw was as big, it was as wide as the forehead of the thing. It was just, it looked like a cartoon character. The only thing I could relate it to, So it looked like it had a bit of mass to it, and I don't know, at 300 Win Mag, I felt undergunned, but it obviously wasn't. It did what it needed to do with room to spare. But I don't know, just at the skull, with the brow ridge, the way you could see the brow ridge was so massive. It gave you the impression that skull was a lot thicker in proportion to what like a human skull would be. If a human skull was blown up to that size, it looked like this skull had a lot more, I don't want to say armor plating, but it looked like it had a lot more mass to it, bone mass.
Yeah.
And then, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say that, so you shot 3 times, is that correct?
That is correct.
And so it was an eye shot, a lung shot, and another headshot. Where was the second headshot? Just so people would know that shot did work. And also, afterwards, after the shots were made, you talked also about their strength on lifting up the dumpster and things like that.
Yeah, the first one. Okay, so the second headshot was basically like just right behind the eye socket from where I could see what the eye socket was. So essentially it would be like a temple shot.
Okay.
Between the where the eye and the ear would be, but I don't remember seeing an ear. But just as as skull shape reference, it would have been, it would have a temple shot, yes.
And that's an upward angle, pretty much?
That's it.
Is that like an upward angle?
I think we were close to about the same angle because it wasn't where we were. God, maybe it would have been a little bit of an upper angle, but not much.
Okay.
It did when I shot and it blew the air out of the lungs, and it looked like it almost stood completely straight up, but it was starting to. It kind of like was almost like it was going to squat back down again. So okay, man, and I don't know, it's flat ground. It wasn't like we're on a hill. I don't know. I mean, at that distance, I would say pretty close to an even angle, even though the thing, probably about maybe 2 feet above the dumpster when I hit the second shot on the head.
Okay.
But at one point when it stood up when I shot it and got a shot in on the lungs, it was actually standing up a little bit higher then, and that's when I got the assessment of the height to where it was every bit twice the height of that 6-foot fence.
Twice the height, and that's when you said that it was slamming the dumpster around?
No, it slammed the dumpster after I shot the first one, and it hadn't stood fully up then. It was still partly squatted down when it was slamming that dumpster up and down.
And this is you said a big, like a double door dumpster?
Big steel dumpster, like, with the big trash trucks come with the, with the big forks, and they'll pick them up and dump them in. It's one of those dumpsters.
Those very, very, very heavy dumpsters?
Yeah, you can hit one with your car and it'd wreck your car.
Mm-hmm.
And this thing picked it up like it was a plastic waste can in your bathroom. That was, when it smashed that dumpster down, you could feel it in the ground at our feet. And I mean, not just like did you feel that? it was, when they show that little bone on Jurassic Park, that was nothing. That little, the little freaking water shaking on the cup in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
This was way beyond that. that would have made the water splash out of the cup, it felt like to me.
Wow.
And this was right by a school and right by a dumpster where people go, and you were called to dispatch these things for the people that might be trying to judge you.
And I do remember them seeing them look like they were evacuating people out of the houses on that row of houses too. I saw there was cops in there, and I saw lights on, and it looked like they were telling people to get out of the house, which I'm glad, because had I missed any of those shots, that bullet would have gone into somebody's house. And at the time, I really didn't think about that, but I'm usually pretty cognizant of my crossfire. Mm-hmm. But in hindsight, thinking, you know, man, if I was shaking at that and I shot into somebody's house, and you know, that was a 300 Win Mag, that would have definitely gone into the house, and it would have gone a ways before it stopped.
Yeah, we was talking about that the other day, that you're the only one who could have made that shot. And if you hadn't have been there, there would have been some serious people getting harmed, hurt, killed. They were active. They were at that area in the dumpsters. They were comfortable there.
You know, and I appreciate that immensely. I take that as an immense compliment. I really do. In hindsight, had my friend been there and not been out of town working, I would have trusted him to do the same thing. This guy is, he was from, where was he from? South Carolina, transplanted out there, and been through a lot of stuff with him. And I honestly feel like he would have stepped up to the plate too.
Yeah, there's go ahead.
Anyways, but it worked. It didn't, you know, it worked out the way it did, and still in hindsight, I still wish it would have been him instead of me.
And tell us how it affected you afterwards, as far as life changes or personality changes.
I felt like I was kind of like excited to finally get it out, but then once I did, I regretted it for a while, until reaching out and speaking with you guys and being able to organize my feelings and thoughts from other people's perspective, meaning you guys. It's gotten everything to calm back down again for me. But initially, when I did it, I was scared. I regretted it. I thought, you know what, I should have just freaking kept this to myself. But thanks to you guys, this has been a huge help, because I don't know. I have a hard time putting that part into words, but thank you very much for that.
Oh, we're honored to be able to help you get it out, you know, and glad it can help you in any kind of way.
And even just to know you, because, you know, we've got other trackers going through the same thing, and they needed to hear this.
This has also helped me on my, you know, in these, I'd say in the last 5 years, really on a quest for freaking more answers on what the hell's going on with these things. With my questions being answered more, it's taken my fear away tremendously. And to where I'm anymore, I hope I never see one again for the rest of my life. I can do just fine without seeing one. Mm-hmm. But if I do, I know how I'll handle it. I know how I want to handle it, and I feel like my spiritual strength will guide me to help me handle it. I'm sure you guys can understand that, because I pray about it a lot. I mean, a lot. And you know, just about a month ago, my ex and my daughter went up camping up in up there in Oklahoma, up in the winding staircase. And I'm like, man, luckily they stayed in the camping cabin.
Good.
And I told her, I said, man, look, I said, pray, you need to pray. And I told my daughter, I said, you go hiking down the trail. I said, you don't ever be the last one hiking down the trail. And I told my ex, and she's very spiritual, but I don't know. She listens, but she doesn't know anything about this, thank God. But because I think she would kind of poo-poo it even more. But at least she does. She is receptive to saying a prayer before they go and everything, and so is my daughter. And I found comfort in each day praying for them, even from being at home, saying a prayer for God to protect them. I really got the comfort feeling that my prayers had some impact on their safety as well.
Good.
Oh yeah, it
But
does.
I was
Also,
pretty excited about how I'm going.
yeah, but also on that day, you know, you had angels in. I mean, they were over your shoulder. They was holding your rifle steady. You know, this one was doing this. This one was doing that. You know, you have a lot of protection with you.
It took having a conversation with you guys to I guess to notice that was what was going on, and thank you for that, because that really helps put my uneasiness, I guess, for lack of another term, on it. I don't regret doing what I did one bit.
Yeah.
For a lot of times I just wished it hadn't have been me, you know.
Yeah.
And just because of the baggage that came with it. But now with meeting you guys and understanding more and getting your input and your expertise on it, it really puts things into perspective now that makes so much more sense ever than before. It just seemed like there was a lot of random feelings about the whole thing that left me with more questions. And now with speaking with you guys and over the time, this amount of time that we have, thank you for that, because it's brought my sanity back, I feel.
You're welcome. And you have the DVD too. Did you learn anything from the DVD?
Oh yes, I'm looking forward to going home, and I want to pop it in and watch it some more again. And yeah, a lot of stuff is stuff that that we've covered in our conversation, and also I know that I usually catch stuff more. I'll read a book 2 or 3 times, and sometimes I'll watch a really good movie 2 or 3 times and really pick up on the things that I missed. So that's where I'm looking forward to watching it again the second time to see to really.
Hey,
that makes sense.
We'll even watch it again and go, oh, hey, I forgot we put that in there.
Yeah, we do that too.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, we also tell people, you don't expect to catch everything on the first time of watching that DVD. Watch it over and over. There's something you might have missed, and
there's up where I was, up at my dad's house. One childhood friend, we had just broached the subject the other night, about these things, and he said, "Man, I said, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I said, with you guys, you're out and about. I said, there's certain things you need to watch for that you're probably not seeing, and heed these signs." And I said, I don't know how you feel about it, and they're both Mormon. And I said, there's a story. I said that Spencer Kimball tells. I said it's a story about a man encountering one of these, and they said at the end of the story, the guy that's telling the story is Spencer Kimball, and that's he was back in the 80s. He was the president of the Mormon Church, and they said, "Whoa, that we had no idea." And it basically ties into how his encounter with this and this being actually told him when Spencer asked him. He said, "Who are you?" And he said, I'm doomed to walk the earth for eternity because I have no redeemable soul.
Wow.
And anyway, so I said, there's oddly enough, through this journey, and I'm Christian. I'll say that I'm wholeheartedly Christian, but it has answered a lot of questions, because when I was a lot younger, I got baptized in the Mormon Church, and the one good thing I can say about that was it made me ask a hell of a lot more questions, because I thought, wait. And oddly enough, some of those questions that has like some of the pieces of the puzzle have fallen in even more with some of the Mormon teachings. Oddly enough, I never would have thought I'd say this, but I think, as far as Christianity, the truth is flowing in and amongst there somewhere, amongst a few different organized religions. And I think as long as Jesus is in there, that's your foundation, and that's where it needs to start. As long as Jesus is in there, it's it can't be too far off. But where was I going with that? Oh, because some of my other encounters have been in Utah. Some of my kind of little hair-raising encounters, but they. And it actually, in all actuality, that one where the shot took place, that was in northern Utah.
Did you have to change anything about, what you did, or were there any changes you made in your life afterwards because of the harassment?
After that, no, I was pretty reckless as it was. When I got that ticket for that they did that seatbelt ticket.
Uh-huh.
And it was driving on a suspended license because of the seatbelt ticket. It was that same deputy. Anyway, so I thought, now this can't be right. I'm just going to go to court and fight this, plead not guilty. And man, they weren't having any of it. The judge said on a case like this, the judge can act as a jury. I find you guilty. And I'm like, what the fuck? Mm-hmm. So I walked out of that courtroom, and it was a $500 fine, and I told him, I said, I'm not paying it. And the court clerk was the one that heard me say it, and she yelled at me, and she said, you talk like that in the courtroom again, I'll have you taken back into for contempt. I said, and I'm not proud of talking like this to a lady, but I said, F you. Mm-hmm. This is bullshit. And I left. And then that thing, nothing ever came up of it until in 2005, was it 05 or 06, I went to renew, it was 07, I went to renew my driver's license, and boom, all of a sudden they said, I don't know if Wyoming's got a hold on your license. And I'm like, oh shit, here we go again. So then in 2010, I was up in the neck of the woods, and I went by that courthouse, and I walked in, I gave him my driver's license number. I said, hey, I need to pay this. This is from way back in 1994. The lady looked it up, and she goes, wow. She said, I just threw this out last week.
Wow. Well, good. Now you know.
She goes, you can still pay it if you want. I said, no, but I said, can I have a printout that says it's taken care of? She said, yeah, no problem.
Right.
From 94 to 2010.
How did that happen?
I'm just like, so I don't know if it's just their little way of saying, like, look, you mind your P's and Q's and everything will be fine. I felt like it was a little reminder because I had never gotten a seatbelt ticket ever.
Yeah. That's part of their MO as far as keeping people quiet and trying to. And they're not going out and ridding the forest of where all these things are happening. They're not trying to warn anybody. They're actually trying to let these creatures still hunt people in those areas.
Yeah, it needs to. People need to know. They just this concerted effort to freaking suppress this information is. This is, in my opinion, that's accessory to murder.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
To purposely make people believe that you're completely safe when you go out there. No, the blood's on their hands. Yeah. And I think it's just some of the specific precautions to take, and a few of the things to look for. That's all that need to do, in my opinion. And luckily, the word is getting out more. Thank God it's getting out more, and people are listening more.
Yes.
I mean, it's people like you guys that this is the word's getting out. People are listening. There's more proof to be able to present so that when we tell people that this is more credible, this is more believable. Like, look, man, there's DNA evidence of it now. Here's you got all kinds of footprints and stuff. But at least we have something to work with that.
It makes us laugh when we hear people say things like, all this time and not one good photo, not one good video. That's such a lie. We see them all the time. It's, you know, that's just programming for them to say that.
Yeah. And it's, God, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, at least there's, so I had one friend of mine who's a school teacher, and she saw in my house there was a little, you know, like a caution sign above one of my doorways. It just says Bigfoot area, stay on marked trails. And she goes, oh, come on. And I said, what? She goes, you don't believe in that, do you? And I go, what are you talking about? She goes, Bigfoot, really? I said, you want to have a conversation about that? And she goes, come on. I said, now listen, Lindsay. I said, you're a school teacher. I said, listen what I got to say about this. So I told her about, you know, the genome project,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, the proof that has come out there. I said I didn't want to get into my experiences, but I said, you know, the proof is out there. I said, whether you believe in it or not anymore, I said that's really irrelevant because they're proven to exist.
Yeah.
I said, you know, where's the harm in just taking the extra precaution? You know, watching your kids.
Yeah.
You know, watching for other signs and stuff. Where's the harm in that? I said, I'll tell you where the harm is, though, when you ridicule people like you did
Sure
just
is.
now. I said, you ridicule people like that. I said, that's you know, makes people feel ashamed of themselves. And I said, when you do that, then that makes people not talk. And I said, when they don't talk, then the word doesn't get out more, and the word needs to get out. So I said, shame on you for doing what you did.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, oh, I'm sorry. And I said, well, I said, instead of saying you're sorry to me, I said, I'm not offended by it. But I said, just make sure that how you feel now with what I just told you. I said, make sure you don't forget about how you feel about that. Because sometimes there's some people that have had experiences that are pretty dramatic, and they need to be heard. You know, to get shut down and ridiculed after they've already gone through something so traumatic, and that their life is shaken to the core, when they, for all this time, thought that these things, the monsters weren't real. And the first time that you realize and see for yourself that monsters are real, your life is completely different. It's not the same as what it ever was, ever again. But you wished it could be back to where, you know, you wish you did have that blissfulness, but you don't. And I said, then to compound it, you got somebody laughing at you.
Mm-hmm.
And she got really, really compassionate hand in hand. She said, man, I had no idea.
Good.
I said, I understand. I said, Lindsay, as well as I know you, I said, I know that. I said, so you don't need to apologize to me, because I know you well enough that I knew you would, you know, you'd have to change of heart like that. She's a very compassionate person.
Right. She was uneducated.
Anyway, so.
And the same would go for anyone that would try to tell you that it was just a horrible thing for you to do. That's just another side of mocking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not with it.
I was gonna say, we were at this state park. Some friends took us to look around and show us some things, and we were tracking in that area, and we got pictures of bends and breaks and pull downs, and this older couple came by, and we're underneath the bridge looking at claw marks, and our friend said, yeah, they're Bigfoot hunters, which, you know, we don't hunt them, but that's what they said. And they scoffed, and they said, you know, oh, y'all don't believe in that, but there's sign all around them, you know.
Yeah, they got real uncomfortable when we showed them what they were looking at. They weren't laughing by the time they left, and they were hopefully more careful at the next stop.
You know what? One of the things when people go, when I show them something that is a clear-cut sign, I'll always present it as, like I said, first off, I said, figure out what couldn't have done this. You eliminate all that, and then look at what you're left with.
Right.
Then go from there. Whereas, you know, to say everything is this, I said, you should eliminate what didn't do it first, and then look at what you're left with. And it's when over at the Mogollon Rim in Arizona, my friend Nick Sampson, we went camping up there, and I didn't even know what his thoughts were on. I knew his little brother poo-pooed it a lot. I just wanted to go up there camping with my buddy and look around, but I didn't want to tell him what I was looking for. But and he's always used to seeing me with a rifle slung over my shoulder, anyways. So lo and behold, the one place we choose to camp, boom, there's a huge tree break that's like, God, it's got to be 10 feet up. And he just snapped over, and the tree had started growing again, in this L-shaped direction. And it was about a 4-inch diameter tree. And he spotted it before me. He said, man, he goes, what the heck did this? I looked at it, and I said, I don't think birds did that. And then we found a bunch of other stuff. And but I told him, I said, you know what, rather than saying immediately what did do it, I said, eliminate what couldn't have done it first, and then look at it. And that's kind of the easier sell on people that are skeptical. Is to just, all right, let's wipe everything off the board. What didn't do it, and then we'll talk about what could have done it. And then, he said, well, if a man could do it, yeah, probably. I said, I don't know if you could. I said, let's pick up a 4-inch sapling and see if you can break that, even with your knee on it. But I said, and then to do it, 10 or 12 feet up in the air, I said, we'd have to get a man lift in here to do that, right? He said, yeah. I said, you know how much those things are to rent by the day? About $500. And they said, and they're like, how bad do you really want to get up there and bend and break this tree? And that cost, it's just like, so.
And
that kind of helps in the conversation on skeptics, I think.
Right. And what's capable of grabbing a dumpster and slamming it around?
Oh my God.
That.
Yeah, just how big that hand was when we first pulled up, and I could see that it looked like, I thought it was a bear trying to climb out of the dumpster. That's how big that damn hand was. It was its hand gripped onto it.
But it wasn't in the dumpster, right?
No, it wasn't in it. It was alongside of it, and its right hand was hanging onto the side of that dumpster, just like had a grip on it.
So that's something too.
That hand was about as, it had to have been probably as wide as my chest. I'd say my waistline then, but not now. Yeah, I was a
And
leaner.
there was 2 bodies. Do you know what they did with them, or how they took them off, or any of that?
No, you know what? During that interview in Salt Lake, when I started to ask what the heck this were, what those were, that's when the guy really jumped down my throat on. That let's see. I wasn't there for him to answer my questions, and that's like, whoa, okay. It wasn't. So, I did want to know. I wished he would have told me, but I but you just want to hear it from somebody that, like,
right.
It would have really helped. It would have really helped to hear it. It would have really helped for him to say, hey, look, this is what these are. These are a couple of Sasquatches. This is what you did. Fuck you if you talk to anybody. I get that. And you know what I mean? If they would have been nice about it, say, hey, you know what? Keep your mouth shut about this until we let you know it's okay. I probably would have. Now I wouldn't. Fuck no.
But they made you the enemy. They turned you into their enemy when they're the ones that called you in to begin with.
Yep.
To handle what they couldn't.
Look, man. I told him, I said, man, you think I'd fucking ask for this? And then he got even more shitty. He said, did I ever say that I did? Like, no. And he's, barking at me for talking to him that way.
And letting you know that you're expendable too, and they will actually trap.
Man, that was like a 3.5-hour ride from Salt Lake City back. And I brought it up once, and that was a quiet ride home. And because I asked the game warden, I said, what the heck were these? And he barked at me and said that he said that agreement. He said that covers between me and you two.
Wow.
So I'm like, holy shit, I got nobody to talk to.
Do you think he got threatened personally, or his career?
I think I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what happened because, we were cordial before that.
Did you ever see him after that?
That's somebody that's, what's that?
Did you ever see him after that?
No. A month later, I moved. I split. I left. I had a job offer to move to Phoenix, and I took it.
Good.
How where you're living at now? You don't have to say, but how is the activity in that area?
I think there's been some activity. I'll say where I live in San Leon, right off Galveston Bay, right now.
Okay.
I've got some property there, but they're on the north side there in north side of Galveston Bay, Anahuac and stuff. There's been what they've labeled as dog attacks. And I think it was so. I think there's some activity up there that's you know, I think there is, and I've heard one of the tweakers in the area was telling me that, like, I think it was last year that you know, there's a lot of, like, you know, it's pretty rural and there's a lot of wooded areas that you know, a lot of people's chickens get stolen and stuff like that. So
Where was that area? North side what?
North of Galveston Bay, Anahuac, Trinity Bay area.
Hey, you said that there was was that a recent thing? Because I remember years ago another attack near Anahuac that they blamed on.
Yeah, this was recent. It was within the last couple of months.
Yeah, no, this would have been a few years ago.
I'll you know, when I get home, let me look that up because I pulled it up for Jeff over on the paranormal Dogman site deal. I folded it up for Jeff and sent him the things. I'm always sending him little things like that because he gets in and investigates. I would like to go investigate some of that shit, but I'm sure I'm not going to do it by myself. So if you guys end up coming down here for any of that, yeah, I'll go there with you. I don't want to go by myself.
I think they blamed it on hogs in the older story of someone attacked there near Anahuac. There was another suspicious story.
I guess my thing is too, I don't want to go with anybody that's not prepared. You know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Believing is one thing, being prepared is another.
Same.
Yeah, same for us. And we were talking about either getting you to come visit or we'll come visit and do some tracking and things like that.
Yeah, I have been on the work search thing. I hadn't. I would plan on being up there before now, but it's going to happen soon. But hey, I need to jump off here and get some gas in my truck. I know if I drive any farther down the road, I might lose you guys.
Okay.
Would that be okay?
Sure,
yeah,
I sure appreciate you.
Yeah, we appreciate everything, and we will be in contact with you.
Okay, yeah. Now, if you guys feel like giving me a call back here after a little while too, feel free. I know I hate to. I don't know. If I'm on the phone with somebody, I don't like to multitask. I like to get my full attention.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So.
No, we appreciate it,
man.
and we're gonna try to give another person a call that we hope was they're a bit under the weather, but we're hoping that they got to listen to you because it will be very helpful for them.
We're gonna check in with them real fast.
This will be on the tonight's show, right?
Yeah, we're live right now. It's on now.
If they're able to, if they answer, you know.
Right on. Well, sorry for the colorful language to everybody out there. But, you know, we're just keeping it real.
Yeah, we're all grown here, and it's all for the trackers anyway. So, you know, we know our trackers can take the language. So
when you've seen what you've seen, the arrangement of a few letters is not going to rock your world.
Okay. Well, yeah, good, excellent point for sure.
God bless you,
Alrighty.
and thank you so much.
Have a safe journey too.
Thanks you too, man. You guys have a good one.
We'll talk to you soon.
We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. All right. Good night.
All right. Okay. There was a good friend who did dispatch two of these predators. There was a big cover up. There still is. We have other friends in the same situation, and we talked about this on the first night coming back, and we've kind of talked about it last night and tonight. But a lot of our trackers, you know, they're being followed right now. You know, they and all the trackers are doing are either helping find missing people or helping people deter these predators from their areas, but they're getting harassed, and so that you don't have the information, that you don't know the truth. Our trackers are getting harassed, and you know, if there's any way that, you know, some of the best ways that we can help them is to do our nightly check-ins with them, so that we keep an eye on what's going on, and that we all contact with each other. And then we share some of that information of what's happening. And we're going to do a real quick call. Another tracker is kind of under the weather, but going through pretty much the same thing. So we want to give them a call and just do a quick catch up, and then we should be pretty much through for the night until we have our next video. So
one thing I remember him saying that he didn't say tonight when he described its mouth and its teeth were that he mentioned the jawline, but he said that it looked like it could crush concrete, literally. He was not exaggerating. And I think that was one of the most disturbing things to him. We're working on a sketch from his description, and when we get it finished and fine-tuned, we'll show you guys that.
And let's see. Well, we'll give our tracker a call, and hopefully they're able to give us some information. But if not, we will have them on at a different time. They have a lot of information you need to hear also. And we're about the right time. We said 6:30. It's about 6:45. So
It's not very loud, is it?
I'm sorry, your message cannot be recorded as this user's mailbox is full. Please try again later. Goodbye.
We're going to give it just a little time because, you know, sometimes the phone go off. You don't have it with you, but you come back and check it. So we'll give our tracker just a little bit more time. But in the meantime, I think we can look at the comments.
Okay.
And we'll go over the comments and see if there's any questions about tonight. And we'll give our tracker another call in just a moment. And hopefully we can get through to them. But if not, we still have a lot of things that we need to share with all of the people and all the trackers that are here.
Mm-hmm. We'll skip past all the greeting ones. We love y'all. Glad y'all are here. The greeting ones that we read earlier.
And David said that we can visit anytime.
Good deal. Good. We may do that. You won't get much notice.
And all of our friends know we just show up. We don't tell you we'll be there at certain time on this certain day. We just trust that you.
We'll let you know we're in the area.
Yeah, we'll let you know we're in the area.
Yeah, but not till we get to the area.
But not till we're there, almost at your door. But we got some good friends, and they understand the way we travel and things like that. And it is good to see them. And you know, they our good friends will tell us the same thing. You know, doors open. You know, when you get here for y'all, not the doors open for anybody. It's just for us because we like to keep doors and thresholds closed.
Yeah.
So we go through, we close it. David said he'll send us a pic of the Bigfoot, I believe.
Oh, good.
Hey, Lisa Lou.
Hey. Jeremy's here. Hey, Jeremy. Sheila. Hi, Sheila.
Sheila.
Danette.
Hello.
I think we already said hi to Flat Rock.
Flat Rock's
here.
Hello
again.
If not, hello again.
Lisa says, and I think she meant to put, I can't believe they shot them, or maybe she did mean, I can't believe they shot them. How horrible of a thing you did to them. We already addressed that in there. We strongly disagree with your judgment of that situation.
Yes, and until you're face to face.
Yeah.
You know, behind that TV in the city, and you go to bed at 7 o'clock, and have a normal thing. You're never outside. You're never tracking. You're never searching for missing people.
If
You don't understand.
if
So,
there were a 12-foot monster outside of your, or two outside of your kids' schools,
outside of your kids'
you'd be
schools,
glad to see this man.
yes, you would be glad. And when people are shoving you out, pulling you out of your room, telling you got to vacate right now, and you got children, you would change your mind. You would be glad
Yeah.
certain people show up.
And we would ask that you don't shame somebody that's had to do that. They go through years of trauma over what happened to him, and just don't do that. It's not right.
No. Diesel, hey,
salute.
We hadn't heard from you in a while. It's good to hear from you, Diesel.
Very good to hear from you. And I think he's saluting our guest, and we do too.
Salute, yes.
10IC says, thank you for your story. Thank you for telling the truth. You did the right thing and not covering it up. God bless you. We agree.
We agree with you 100%. And you know, our trackers, we have to know this. You out there, you have to know that if you have to have an altercation, I mean, you got to know where to bring them down, because if you shoot center mass or in the legs, and you're guessing that they have multiple organs, that thing's going to just keep coming at you. And we do know that they have attacked people. So don't think that they're not going to come after your children if you're not watching. We do know about that also, and we know about rapes that happen and things like that from these creatures and predators. So until you're out there, until you know, I swear you haven't been deep in that forest, or you haven't looked at those dumpsters, you haven't been out there after hours, you haven't spent nights and nights doing observations. You have no clue to what's going on.
You haven't seen the blinds and the snares, the traps set up around your grandson's
and all these weapons,
play area.
Yeah, all these weapons, these tools behind us. You got to know they are very strategic. They will stalk people. They hunt people.
They break donkeys' necks. They decapitate people. They will rip the heads off of animals. They can kill a bear.
And they will hold that head and look into that eye when death is happening to animals. They'll do it to people if they're just
predatory behavior.
And we know that they've charged people. We know we've got people that we know personally that they've saved their own families and things like that. So these things have to be put down. And when you don't care about the whole school that's right there, or everyone in that apartment complex, that the authorities were rushing out. Not just, they weren't leaving on their own. They didn't know what was going on. Just like a lot of people here at the channel, you know, who's watching, don't know what's going on, how close they are, where they hunt, where they're going to be at.
Bernice, who will be with us on Monday, just saw the black one right by the dumpster in the daytime where she works. And this is in an area where there have been many missing people and murders by these things.
A lot of cover-ups.
A lot of cover-ups, absolutely.
So expect the cover-up. Expect them to come in and try to shut up whoever's got truth with them. Okay, so
Judy Wheeler, hello.
Judy Wheeler, great to hear from you. And if Joe Blow, if you're here again, if you come in late or something, we need your email. We got a DVD for you. Anyone else who needs a DVD that holds this truth, and that a lot of people have used it and saved lives with it. CashApp is right there. Just send us your email address. My email address is on here also in the description, and we'll get that video out to you. But those things you need to know also.
Diesel says, I draw for a living. Ever need work done, let me know. Good. Thank you.
Hey, all right, Diesel.
Appreciate that offer. Thank you.
Because we do have extra facial images that we just don't have time.
Yeah, we haven't been, yeah, that's what it's been.
but we got some great ones we could send to you, and you could make them come to life. Well, not come to life, but
Yeah.
you could bring out the image for people to see.
Right. So thank you for that offer.
Thank you, Diesel.
Email us.
Thank you, Diesel. My email is also in the description. So Diesel, send us an email and we'll start getting together on certain things.
Mr. L says, hello, Judy. Everybody's just greeting Judy. Glad she's here. Jack McKenna, which is maybe Jody, not sure.
Yeah, Jody, is that you, Jack?
Always fascinating, excellent work. Thank you all. Thank you for the encouragement you always give.
Yeah.
Charles says, Jerry, this gentleman lives very near my home. I live in Huffman, Texas. Yeah, your area is very active, Charles. That's why we would like to get you on as a guest.
Yes,
too.
and we need to get you on also, Charles.
Another warrior.
All right.
Want to try again? We'll try one more time.
We're going to try one more time with our other tracker. And if not, then we will get with them and schedule them again. They have been a little bit under the weather. I think the children brought home the flu or something. So that's something that they're dealing with. And hopefully they don't contract and they're okay. And that the family is okay again.
And we ask for your prayers for this individual and their family. They've been running a fever today, so it will be short regardless. If they do come on, it will be a very short call and fill in later. We won't keep them long.
I'm sorry, your message cannot be recorded at this user's mailbox.
Okay, so I think since we went through the comments already, we can just have a closing prayer. And then
Yeah, and we'll come back with this tracker when they feel better, and it has very much similar to this situation that our guest tonight went through. That's why we wanted to do them together, but it may be even better to do it on 2 separate shows.
Yeah, because this other tracker has a lot of information, a lot of.
Lee says call back. We'll call you back. He has more to say, I think.
Okay.
Talk a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good. We're going to call back our first guest.
Yeah, so this is Lucky. We're gonna get to call back and talk with Lee, our tracker, one more time, and we know he's on the road also.
Hello.
Hello there.
Hear me?
Yeah, can you hear us?
All right. Yeah, I got gassed up and headed through almost into El Paso. Hey, a couple of things I wanted to point out too, because I know the controversy does come up, and I don't want to lose anybody's interest because of their feelings on this, and that's the fact of when people say how could you I do want to say though too, I don't think all of them are bad, but I also think that all of them have the potential to be. They could easily be because of what I feel that these things are. So I have heard accounts of people having, benign and easygoing encounters with them. But just like a wild bear, that bear could eat pancakes off your back porch for 5 years straight, and then one year that bear could just freaking rip your dog apart. There's always that possibility that could happen, and that's I don't want people to lose sight of that. That have the hard feelings towards these things being shot. It wasn't my call to do it. I don't regret doing it. I just wish it wasn't me that did it. That had to at the time. If that helps, because I just people people are on here to listen and get information. Don't let that, don't let their feelings about that stray away from and go to a different channel or whatever because of their feelings when, what brought them here is not entertainment, it's education. Whether you like what happened or not, it's still, at least stick it out and get the education on what these things are,
Right.
I wanted to make sure to get that across because, like I said, I know everybody's, I got a daughter that she's a vegetarian. She doesn't want to hear anything about honey. Okay, that's fine, but, at least learn about conservation and nature. Kind of along the same thing. There's still a lot of good education to learn here, even if you don't agree with what had happened here. Don't let that push you away. So and possibly miss out on information that could enrich and even save your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a woman that we found out about that she was gifting and she was taking these Bigfoot's gifts and food, and to where she had to start buying cows and things like that to feed them, and then she ran out of money. So what she did was she moved,
and that leaves it a dangerous situation for the next person to move in there.
That's exactly right.
Exactly.
Oh God, I shudder when I hear something like that. That's scary.
Yeah.
For somebody to, I don't know if you guys have ever followed. Can't remember what her name was. Mary something, Mary Green or whatever. They call her the Bigfoot lady. There was a book written about her, and her dad or grandfather had actually they had the habituation with these, and one of them in particular, they named it Fox. Ended up, but when the grandfather was in the hospital dying, he was really worried about that. They need to make sure that those things are fed. He was worried about what those things were going to do if they didn't keep them fed.
Yeah.
And that's. I think he probably realized that he, started a bad thing and realized that, I need to keep this going. Otherwise, they're gonna destroy my farm.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And anyways, it's that. Just like don't feed the bears in Yellowstone, man. Don't feed these things. It's yeah.
And
anyways,
even with a human predator or a demon, they can be friendly for years and years and years while they're studying their subjects. These are not normal things. They've learned to mimic the people. They put on people's clothing. Just because somebody didn't get attacked one day, it could be that they're just in that phase of the learning about their subject to how to get close. The closer they can get, the more they can become like us, and the more they can look like us from a distance. With it's just it's the same concept. It's a predator, like Jerry says. Some don't go to charm school, and some go to predator school. They're all learning how to kill. They're all learning how to hunt. They're all learning how to mimic. It's just a whole different critter.
Yeah.
And with so many mutations, they don't all look like Harry and the Hendersons. And that's what I think the people that get most upset have that version and that vision of them. And that's what I had too before I
think it's a dangerous vision.
It really is.
It's a dangerous vision. So, anyways, I wanted to make sure it get that across too. And the other part. Oh, as far as like when you had asked about physics and the physical and if to defend yourself and I guess basically where to shoot, what the hopefully I don't know if I touched on it enough, but facing front on is just it's not optimum, but and if you're in a defensive situation, that's probably going to be what you're going to be left with. And if you're armed with something marginal, and I'd say like this, you know, the one I saw that night, the one that I could tell the whole size of it. The other one, I don't know. I know it was probably a lot smaller, but the one that I shot twice, that thing was every bit of 2,000 pounds. It was that massive. And that's, you know, growing up hunting wildlife, judging, you know, I've worked as a backup hunting guide, and so I mean I can judge size on things really well. And so, you know, I think anything like from a 270 to a 30-06 on up, you know, I think could do you just fine as long as you know, if you had to shoot, you know where to. The reading about the Davy Crockett account, I don't know if you're familiar with that story.
It's been a few years.
Davy Crockett had shot one that I think had attacked his son, and he ended up killing it. You know, I mean, and they're using muskets back then, and then which is a whole other thing. Those, you know, those lead musket balls, they, you know, they deform pretty quickly like a soft, you know, like a, you know, soft lead ball. But what he found was the first shot that he shot it, I believe it stunned it, put it down or whatever, and he had to shoot it again. But after digging into it to see what effect it had on it, he said he felt like the chest cavity, the chest breast, what he said to him was almost looked like a solid bone rather than the separate ribs like what we have.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some animals that have the really wide ribs, like Cape buffalo. You know, their ribs will go really wide to where the gap between the ribs is smaller than, you know, the rib itself is wider than the gap in between them. So, in essence, that's armor. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's there for one thing, and that's to protect those organs. The bigger, you know, the bigger musculature, then the bigger the frame has to be to support it without breaking. So you take a regular human's arm and you put it next to a gorilla's arm of the same length, and it's going to be probably close to 3 times, you know, the thickness. Well, that's bones are in a sense armor too. So you got to be very, very cognizant if you have to do it on where you're going to do it, and plus not panic. But like you guys said, it's in the crotch area. If that's a soft area to a lot of blood, a lot of blood vessels. It can be as effective as slicing, you know, slitting a throat, because you got the 2 femoral arteries that come up into there, into the, you know, along the spinal column. There's just a lot of blood vessels there. So anyways, I just think that can be probably more effective if you're marginally armed, a shot to the crotch groin area than it would be to the center chest, and, you know, possibly risk, you know, a bullet not going all the way in.
We've also heard of a hillbilly autopsy that showed they have a double chest cavity.
Oh wow! What was that? What autopsy
It
was
said
that?
hillbilly autopsy. We'll have to try to find it, but that was interesting.
Listening to the reading of the Miller documents, and that was a biologist from the Department of the Interior that had autopsied 3 of those that were found around the San Antonio area. And a couple of big things that stood out was the placement of the heart was almost completely over into the left armpit almost, you know, rather than more where ours is center chest. And one of the other things being is that it had 2 sets of vocal cords versus our single.
Mm-hmm.
It's just their physiology. Their physiology is a little bit different. But that's where, you know, a side shot is more effective because you're going to get pretty much, you know, connect with the heart and both lungs on a side shot. But, you know, if you get to a point where it's a side shot, then it's not as difficult. You know, it's.
Have you heard where we recommended to, you know, how the Bigfoot will try to lure children into the woods by beckoning them with their hands, you know, like we would say, come here. And we're trying to teach people to not call their children that way, but to raise their hands up in the air and turn sideways so that it exposes, well, number one, it makes it very clear that they've been paying attention and they're mimicking and trying to lure the kids. And number two, it would free up that shot, which was brilliant. He came up with that.
Exposed organs.
Uh-huh.
Have you listened to, I believe it was Tim Kumbo Baker's first account of seeing him when he was a kid? It was two juveniles that came up on the screened porch and were looking at him through the screen, and they were small, like about 3 foot tall. But those two juveniles stood there looking at him, grinning with their arms straight up in the air, like what you were talking about.
Uh-huh.
And then he believed that there was a noise that another one had made. He thinks it was possibly the mother calling to him, and they took off running with their arms straight up in the air, like what you were mentioning.
Wow. Well, it's a handy shot to be able to take if need be.
Yeah. But I've been meaning to. I remember having that conversation with you guys. I thought, man, that rings a bell somewhere. And then I had just listened to one of his lectures again, and he said it was the strangest thing. He said he just thought that that they forgot to put their arms down after they were looking at him through the screen door. But he said it was the funniest thing. They went running off the porch and across the yard with their arms straight up in the air. Two of them.
They get up close as they can so that they can watch and mimic. And how can you learn to hunt? How close can you get? They're practicing, and people think that it's curiosity. It's not curiosity. Well, I guess in a way it's curiosity, but it's curiosity with a dangerous purpose. It's observation.
Observation and learning. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Also in the DVD, we talked about the Bigfoots having multiple organs, multiple eyes, multiple, and some of them got wings, some of them got hooves, duck-looking feet, and also there's an air duct on the left side of the neck, and like you're saying, the heart is also on that left side. But they have multiple organs, so you could take one out, but you got another backup, so they'll still keep coming.
Oh wow! Wow.
So those are the only. Oh.
That one thing I forgot to mention too, when the second one, when it blew its breath out, you could see the mist of blood in its breath. Its neck swelled up almost not as drastically like a bullfrog, but you could see its neck just really puffed out, like it gave me the impression of there was some sort of like an air sac in that neck when it blew out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that blood probably went straight up through that lung, straight up through that hose, and right out the mouth.
Was it you that was telling us about meeting a father and a son in the woods? Yep. So, do you mind telling that story?
Yeah, it was up deer hunting, and this was in Utah, and just driving up this 2-track trail, I could tell there was another side-by-side up in there. It got into a spot where quite a bit of dark timber along a cliff that went up a ways. Anyways, I finally, I stopped and I saw them in there, and we were talking, and this was in 2018, by the way, and while we were talking, it was a little bit breezy, so it wasn't common for, dead branches to fall out of trees in the forest. But, we heard this tree branch coming down, because you could hear it, going through the other branches on the way down, and, kind of looked around, but the thing landed at our feet before we realized anywhere where it was coming from. Well, then the guy's son, who was, I thought, around the age of 17, he comes walking over to us like really abruptly and says, "Dad, we gotta go." And the dad said, "Okay," and I guess he wasn't fast enough for the boy, because the boy then goes, "We need to fucking go now." And I could tell by the dad's reaction that the kid didn't talk that way, and so it was, so they split, and I thought, man, what's going on here? I kind of thought, like, maybe something's up, and I don't know why. For the life of me, I should have known to look closer at that piece of wood that landed by us. Why I didn't, I don't know. This blows me away because, you know, it was, so anyways, didn't even cross my mind, but I thought, man, there's something going on here. Anyways, I go back to my trailer that evening, you know, eat some dinner, and I was a little bit uneasy the whole trip because I was hunting by myself, which I'm not. I don't think it's a good idea to hunt by yourself. Anyways, they were camped not too far from me, and the father came over and said, "Hey," he said, "you know, it's my camp that evening." He said, "Hey, I just wanted you to know." He said, "Man, my boy doesn't talk that way." And I said, "I could tell by the look on your face that he didn't." And I said, "Is he doing all right?" And he said, "Well, he's upset." And granted, this was before noon. This happened. When he said he's upset, clearly that boy was probably still upset. And I said, "What got him so worked up?" He goes, "Well, by this time I kind of knew, so I'm fishing. I'm fishing for some information. I had it in my head that I pretty well knew what happened." Anyways, he said, "Well," he said he saw some old black man throw that tree branch at us. And I'm like, huh. Anyways, but the way the tone he put on it, I said, "So what?" I said, "You saying you don't believe him?" And he goes, "Well," I said, "What do you?" I said, "Old black man." I said, "What was he wearing?" That's when he goes, "Well, you know," I said, "Listen," I said, "Do you see a Bigfoot?" And he goes, "Well, that's what he thinks it is." And I said, "What do you think?" He goes, "Man," he goes, "I don't know." And I said, "You know what, man?" I said, "I hope you're not as dismissive to him as you're being to me about it. You know, if it is just because," I said, "I'm not going to ridicule you." I said, "I know these things are real." But I said, "If you're being this dismissive to him and that's what he saw," I said, "Man, he probably needs you more than ever right now to go and make sure that he knows that you believe him." I said, "I'll tell you right now, I believe him." And I said, "I'll go back up there tomorrow." And I said, I want to see that freaking branch." And he said, "No, I'm not going back up there." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Right there." And I pointed my finger at him. I said, "You believe it, don't you?"
Yeah. Another time God put you in the right place at the right time, because, you know, that boy wouldn't shut up after that. You know, like that could have caused him to never talk to anybody about it. Thank you for doing that. Did it go off? I think we lost signal.
Oh.
We have to call back. We just lost signal. Oh, okay. Well, we will close it up for we'll catch up on comments.
Yeah, we'll catch
close
up.
it up. He's in a bad signal zone.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm not sure how we're working tomorrow, and then.
Yeah, no
back.
show tomorrow. No show tomorrow, and then Monday is our tracker in Louisiana, the one that's had the most recent sighting with the with the Bigfoot at the dumpster in daytime.
Well, we'll do 2 trackers from that area.
Yeah. So Monday will be a show, same time. This time seems to be working pretty well for everyone.
Yeah.
And but we're gonna catch up on comments real quick. Our guest is in a bad zone. He just texted, so thank you. We didn't get to say goodbye to you, but thank you so much. And you're just a stellar individual and guest, and come back anytime. We'll be checking back in with you, sir. Jack McKenna.
I think and also there's a lot of questions on here that's in the DVD.
Or in previous videos too.
Or in previous videos. We've got 100 and something, 70 something, but some of these answers are in the DVD, and some of them we've already covered. So
it's just that they're very lengthy answers, and hard to answer real quick here. But we'll do another question and answer. We've done some in the past, and we'll come back and do one again. In the meantime, just keep looking in past videos, because
those answers are in there.
Mm-hmm. Lisa Lou says, thank you for sharing your story to our guests. I pray your PTSD is getting better. God bless.
Yes, and it is. He's as you heard the way he was talking, you can tell a lot of healing has went on.
Yeah. Mr. L says, we totally appreciate you telling us how to understand how to deal with some of these situations, even if scary and dangerous. We agree with you, Mr. L.
Yeah, it all has to be done in preparation and training. You have to be ready for these things. And like we tell people, you prepare for a 20-foot, 40-foot, most vicious, biggest, snarlingest, creature you can think of. And train that way.
So then when you see a 12-foot one, you'll be like, that's it. That's what you sent me.
You see a 10-footer.
Oh, my. Charles says, Lisa Lou, I've lived 48 years with PTSD from my encounter in 1974.
Yeah. And Charles, I hope we can get with you to have that story told. People need to hear that also.
Mm-hmm. Lisa Lou says, oh, Charles, I'd believe it. So sorry, friend. Bless your heart.
Lisa Lou is
we really
a good
have
person too.
So many good people on this group. Mr. L says, you're a man of faith and victory, Charles. Absolutely.
Yeah.
10IC says, Fox had a brother named Blackie. Oh, shoot, where'd it go? Fox had a brother named Blackie. Blackie raped a girl. She lost her mind and was committed. The child was delivered. A boy, could speak basic, all covered up. My source was from that farm. Yep.
Yep.
And you had just written about wanting to talk about that. So thank you for bringing that up.
A true thing that happened is happening.
It sure is. Lisa Lou says, I agree, Mr. L, and I appreciate him talking to that dad. I'm sure it helped. Yeah, we do too. Yeah. And Ghost Star Dancer. Hello there.
There's Ghost Star Dancer at the end again with the thumbs up and the clap every time.
And Joe Blow, if you're out there, give us your email.
Give us your email. We need to send you a DVD. Yeah, if you need your DVD, Cash App, $101. My email's on there also. And we'll get that out to you, just the very next day, first day we can get to the post office. Everyone can tell you once you have it, you have a lot of information and your answers will be there. So
compliments to the viewers because y'all did fantastic tonight. We could tell that you were really listening to this guest. Jack McKenna, awesome. Thank you. I will rewatch The Legend, get fuller picture. Thanks. Scott says, night all, need to run. Yes, we appreciate y'all coming and staying with us. And we're going to close in prayer. Thank you, Lord, for putting people where they need to be. And thank you for putting our guest exactly where he needed to be. And thank you for the healing that came afterwards. Just bless all these people that came here tonight to learn. And we ask that you keep them safe, keep them protected. And thank you for this platform to be able to get this news out and to keep your people safer. In Jesus' name we pray.
All right. So Monday night?
Monday night. No show tomorrow. And Monday we will have the Louisiana guests on. Have an awesome weekend, everyone. Yeah.
All right. Ghost Dance. Everyone have a great night. Claudia, you can also, with the same Cash App, it's $, capital Lead, capital Tracker, capital E. That's the Cash App. If you'd like to help us out, that would be great. Because we did get just off of the road for almost 2.5 months, and we're trying to get back where we need to be, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, we appreciate your asking.
We appreciate the asking and the help.
Jeremy says, y'all have a good one. And Amy Deponia says, thank you for being here. Y'all have a good evening. Yep. We'll see you next time.
We'll see y'all Monday, 5:05 p.m.
More great guests.
And we got some information that you still need to hear. We're going to keep giving you more and more and more. But there is a lot that you need to know. And we got a lot of people, first-hand experienced people, who will give you their stories and tell you certain things to look for. Just like our friend here gave you very vital, important information. If something does come up, you know what to do. But if you didn't hear this, you would know. You would shoot like everybody else, sit in mass, or just shoot wildly. You got to be very specific. And if you didn't hear it tonight, rewatch it, because you got a lot of information that can save not only your life but your family's life.
And y'all say a prayer for our guests that couldn't answer the phone tonight, that's under the weather. They've been under a heavy spiritual attack and attack from the game rangers and things like that. So just pray for them. They're going through it. And y'all have a good night.